Good evening, St. Johners. My name is J.P. Lewis from the University of New Brunswick, St. John, and welcome to the 2016 St. John Mayoral Candidates Debates. Before we get going, let me introduce your candidates. To my left, your right, I start with Shelley Reinhart, Howard Yeomans, Don Darling, Bill Farren, and Patty Higgins. And our special guest tonight asking the questions is Telegraph Journal City Editor Caitlin Dean. The order for how candidates will answer questions was drawn before, and as you will see, we will get to a number of different topics and issues throughout the night. We are going to start with some opening statements, and we begin with Shelley Reinhart.
Thank you. My name is Shelley Reinhart, and I'm running for mayor of St. John. I'm running because I know and love St. John, the people, the energy, and its drive to work, help, and play. Whether as a volunteer, neighbor, or deputy mayor, I'm always listening. And I have to tell you, I really like what I'm hearing. St. Johners are nothing if not practical. They're going to tell it like it is. You know what you want. Jobs, a stronger local economy, safe neighborhoods, clean, modern playgrounds and recreational facilities, fun events like the upcoming 506 Festival and Marathon by the Sea, a public transit system that gets you where you want to go, and most importantly, a city hall that gets things done, a city hall with strong leadership. I've spent my life training for this job. I've grown up in this city, I've built a career in this city, I've led volunteer work in this city, and I've sat on council and been deputy mayor in this city. And now I'm asking for your support to be mayor and lead this city. I've brought strong leadership to the University of New Brunswick in St. John as Dean of the Faculty of Business. I've brought strong leadership to the development of St. John's Regional Economic Development Strategy as chair of Enterprise St. John and co-author of that plan. I've brought strong leadership to the growth of the YMCA and the establishment of its new facilities as chair of its volunteer board. I bring strong personal leadership to the Sea Dogs organization as a longtime billet parent. And let me tell you, there's nothing like taking in a teenage athlete into your home and your heart to teach you personal responsibility and team building. And I'm proud to say that as your current deputy mayor, I bring strong leadership to the council table. We fixed the pension plan. We announced significant funding to improve St. John's aging water system, and we made plans for the future. St. John, you know what you want, and so do I. On May 9th, vote Shelley Reinhart for mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Howard Yeomans.
Good evening, St. John. I'm Howard Yeomans. I'm your average citizen from this city. I started work here when I was age 12 to help support my family. We didn't grow up in the best of neighborhoods. I've had a long history working in this city and for many companies, large and small. I have helped people in financial situations. Today, I have experience in business, in financial, in accounting, in budgeting, and in sales. All these things, including personnel work, will help me to be able to try and guide the city forward. For too many years now, no matter what has been done, we seem to keep lagging behind. This city is a great city, and I think it's time we rise up and become that great city once again. I think it's time that we become the economic part of this province that is going to help this province grow. Because without the outlying areas and all the other cities in the province, we won't go anywhere either. We need to cooperate with all. I'm not going to make promises because anybody, I feel, my opinion is, that tells you that they're going to cure the problems of this city or the world, it isn't going to be done. All too often I've listened to politicians and they all say, this is what we're going to do when we get in. And then they get in and say, gee, we didn't realize just how bad it was. And they can't keep those promises. The promise I have is that I'm going to work hard as a full-time mayor on your behalf. I'm going to do everything I can to sell this city all around the world, to bring people that want to be here, to take and help the people that are here that have suffered all these years and are so discouraged, to say, I'm a St. Johner and I'm proud of it, instead of the negativity I constantly hear. I'm seeking this because I feel that I can accomplish this task as a coordinator, not a person who's going to tell others how to do it. I will bring the people together. That's what I have for a benefit. I've done it in business, and I can do it in this. And I believe this is an opportunity for me to reach out. I don't have another job. I retired now. A 24/7 job is how I see mayor of the city. and I ask that you will give me your vote, and you won't see a bunch of signs on the streets for me.
Okay. Don Darling.
Great. Thank you very much. Good evening, St. John. I really am running for the mayor of the city of St. John because I think this is a magnificent city. So what I've been telling hundreds and hundreds of St. Johners as I've gone door to door is I want to take my experience, my life experience, and my experience in the business world, being accountable for delivering on our objectives and actioning business plans, and take that and grow the city. So the concept, the vision for me for St. John is grow SJ. Growth doesn't solve every challenge we have in St. John, but it certainly helps. And there's three components to that for me. There's people, there's the economy, and there's leadership. So for people, what we have to do is we have to maintain services, the basic services that we enjoy as St. Johners. We have to grow the population, and we have to enhance the quality of life in St. John. Secondly, on the economy, we need to laser focus on results. We need to talk about taxation growth, jobs, and population growth. And that should be the focus. We should put measurements in place and make sure that we're focused on those objectives. And lastly, on leadership. Leadership is about taking the business experience that I've had, working in the corporate sector, working now as a small business owner in St. John, and take that experience and use it to build the team here in St. John. So it's not one guy, it's not I, it's we, it's St. John. It's all of us prospering and moving forward. And I believe in this city. It's a magnificent city. How do we move St. John closer to its full potential? Pour nos amis francophones, j'aimerais dire, je suis tellement fier. Je suis tellement fier d'être une citoyenne de Saint-Jean, puis je suis tellement fier d'être une candidat pour maire ici à Saint-Jean. So tonight I'm looking forward to a great discussion. I'm looking forward to sharing my ideas and the vision that I have for St. John reaching its full potential. Thank you.
Bill Farren.
Thank you. My name is Bill Farren, and I'm seeking your support to be the mayor of St. John. I was born and raised in St. John in a business family. As your mayor, I will continue with the residents. As your mayor, I will continue to work with the residents to help them in the issues such as I have done with the Blurry Street, Randolph, and Westgate Park areas to get the flooding fixed in their areas. I have worked with people in other wards with their issues as well. I will also continue to work with small businesses as I have done for the last 12 years, like helping save the Reversing Falls restaurant, helping the zip line get through the red tape at City Hall, talking to people in Toronto to get an expanded West Side Canadian Tire store. If elected as your mayor, I will focus on a number of issues that will help our residents and city prosper. I will work with many groups in our city, such as Enterprise St. John, the Chamber of Commerce, the St. John Port Authority, and to help the people and companies already in our city by helping them retain and grow their business. By working together, we will attract heavy industry to the new barge terminal in Lorneville, environmental technology jobs, IT jobs, and the different jobs that go along with the Energy East pipeline. If elected as your mayor, I will work with council to impose a flat tax rate for your home and small business. I will work on recreational growth to find a workable solution to public transit, improve maintenance of city streets and other city assets. We have to work with the seniors, low-income families, affordable housing, and other groups to improve the quality of life that will help revitalize and regain pride in our city. We have to work with the province to keep the New Brunswick Museum in St. John. And we have to continue to support and build in historic areas and arts and culture events to enhance the jobs and quality of life in our city.
Thank you, Mr. Farren. Patty Higgins.
Thank you. Hello, St. John. My name is Patty Higgins, and I'm offering to become your mayor as of this May 9th. It has taken a great deal of time, effort, and St. John money to find ourselves in last place among Canadian cities. Few cities have the natural and built assets that we have, but we have not capitalized on those assets, what we have, or who we are. For over 10 years, I have made the city of St. John my magnificent obsession. For 10 years, I have studied economic and fiscal policies followed in other Canadian cities. Through this work, I have found glaring reasons to explain how and why we find ourselves in last place on many important fronts. This is unacceptable to me and should be unacceptable to you. I fully support the concept of St. John becoming a Renaissance city. However, just saying it doesn't make it so. No Renaissance, past, present, or future, can happen without enlightenment and reformation. I know how things are done here. Just as importantly, I know how things are done in growing, prosperous cities. It is difficult to change people's minds. It is even harder to change culture. Clearly, some candidates offering to be part of mayor and council for St. John this upcoming election seem fully entrenched in the ideas of an economic model that is failing the good people of St. John. To offer as your mayor comes this election was a last-minute decision. No team, organization, or pot of money. Consider my signage as being your property tax bill. Are you receiving full value?
Okay, we're going to move to the question period. And so how this will work, Caitlin will ask a question, and one candidate will respond with a minute answer, and then all the other candidates will have a chance for rebuttal. So Caitlin, and the first answer will go to Ms. Reinhart.
Looking at a variety of diverse and deeply qualified candidates before me here this evening, what is it that differentiates each of you from other candidates?
So I think I hit on some of those in my opening statement. I'm a lifelong St. Johner. I certainly have been entrenched in my community for my lifetime. I think, you know, at UNB I teach in the business faculty, and one of the things that I tell my students all the time is you learn best by doing. And I firmly believe that for my own self as well. And so I've been chair of Enterprise St. John. I've been chair of Canadian Mental Health Association. I've worked with some of the anti-poverty groups. I've worked with economic development. I've worked with social groups. And I really have listened to everybody I've worked with on those committees so that I think I have a very good understanding of my community. I've held a variety of leadership roles, and I believe that I can bring to the mayor's role a type of leadership that is St. John born and St. John developed. And I think that's what sets me apart from the other candidates.
Mr. Yeomans?
Yes, as I said earlier, you know, I grew up in this city. I grew up in the poor end. I've lived in the middle class. I've worked this city my whole life from a very young age. I've dealt with the people from the bottom to the top. I'm very capable of working with people and getting people to work with me. I think that's a very great asset needed. With my business experience of all the companies I've worked for and the financials that I've had to deal with, setting budgets and all that, I think that I'm going to work very well with the people that are paid for in this city to take care of this city, and that I can encourage everybody to move forward. And that's what I'm offering myself personally. Thank you.
Mr. Darling?
Thank you. So around differentiation, I guess I'm not sure what St. John born means, but for me, differentiation is, for me, my direct business experience. So I've been involved in a large corporation in which I was a senior person and also a manager, and directly responsible for not only developing the business plan, the strategic plan, but also implementing the strategic plan. And I think that's a differentiation for me. So directly accountable for going out and taking the action and being held accountable for getting results. The other piece, and you know, Mr. Yeomans and I seem to have some things in common, that you know, my life story coupled with my business experience is what also differentiates me. So I've had a lot of experiences similar, it sounds like, to Mr. Yeomans. I did grow up in Fredericton the first 11 years of my life. The other 34 years of my life have been here in St. John, so I consider St. John my home. And you know, when my mom and dad stopped getting along, I also had some life experiences which have shaped me as a human being. So that'll make me a great mayor for the city.
Mr. Farren?
Thank you. What would differentiate me from my counterparts here this evening is the fact that I've got 12 years at council underneath my belt. I have worked on numerous issues that residents have brought to me. I've watched the city tax dollars and tried to recoup them and get the city taxes down. The fact that we spend so much money on different issues and special interest groups that some seem to bring around the table. The fact that I come from an honest, hardworking business family. that have taught me the true values of working hard, not just for myself, but for the people around me, for my family around me. These are the things that I think are important, and the fact that I can attest to the trials that people have to go through in this city just to get simple jobs done. It's terrible. I want to fix it.
Ms. Higgins?
Thank you. As I said in my opening statement, I'm very aware of the policies and the fiscal plans that other cities have. They focus on the residents' quality of life and quality of place. Then other things fall in place around that. We have been, in our budget, we have been using 2/3 of residential tax to run a regional economy instead of focusing on recreation and quality of life for our own citizens. We have policies in place that are leading to depopulation and poverty. That doesn't happen anywhere else except here. We've been doing it for so long, we just don't know any better, and we keep doing the same things over and over, expecting different results. It's impossible, mathematically impossible. From a business standpoint, it's impossible. There's no way that residential tax can carry the economy here.
So at the end of every question period, there's a minute and a half for open discussion. So would anyone like to rebut or follow up? Mr. Darling?
Yeah, so I think that what Ms. Higgins just mentioned, I mean, yeah, it is unsustainable. I mean, in the last 10 years, we've had a $50 million increase in the costs in St. John. You know, we have a $150 million operation in which we spend every nickel of that by the time we've made debt payments and we've made pension top-ups, and it really leaves that investment left to enhance this community of St. John. It leaves it without any money. So it's not that we can't, it's that we don't have money often to repair or invest in making this community a better place, and that's why we have to grow it.
Ms. Reinhart?
Mr. Darr.
Ms. Reinhart?
So just to address what I mean by St. John born, I guess what I find is that every community is unique, and to Ms. Higgins' point, every community has a unique need, and to really be able to develop a strategy and implement a strategy that will work for that community requires a deep understanding of that community, both in terms of living there, but also of deep interactions with a dynamic and diverse group of St. Johners.
Mr. Farren?
Well, the fact that we have such an economy in St. John, it bears in mind that when I first started on council 12 short years ago, the budget was $98.4 million. Now it's mushroomed to $54 million, plus we borrowed $12 million in loans. That's not sustainable. We have to get the cost of City Hall control under rein. I mean, we can't keep doing this. There's been pressure by this last council in the last budget that we should be looking at a tax raise. I say no, we don't do a tax raise. We can't do it because we're going to drive more out of the city. We have to control the cost of City Hall, and the only way to do that is by having growth, and I've got the leadership and the ability in the last 12 years to lead that growth.
Okay, quick comment from Mr. Yeomans.
Yes, I would just like to say that everything that I'm hearing here from my colleagues is all good points. And I hope that if you hire me to be your mayor, they will all offer to help so that we may move forward in these things. Thank you.
Do you want to wrap
Mr.
up?
Farren's numbers are right about the increase in the city budget over the years, over the last 20, 25 years. The point of that is that increase is mainly from residential assessments. It's not from any economic development schemes. It's from taking more money from city residents' pockets and having less in return, instead of having money to be a consumer and being part of the economy that way. We're paying costs to develop an economy that is not working for many of our people.
Okay, let's go to the second question of the night, and Mr. Yeomans, you'll be the first to answer. Caitlin?
Since the last civic election in 2012, St. John has lost more than 1,000 jobs, even as the True Growth 2.0 economic development strategy envisioned net job gains by 2016. What specifically needs to be done to get St. John moving again?
Yes, we need to be open to any and all opportunities that are brought before us. I'm a strong believer we shouldn't say no just for the sake of no, and I hear that a lot in the city when somebody offers up something. We need to be responsible to be sure that everything about the I's dotted and the T's crossed is done to make sure environmental, or whatever the case may be, is properly handled. But we need to be open. We need to let people know the city is open for business, and we don't seem to be doing that. We seem to discourage it more than that. And as I said earlier, I believe it's important not just to say and get people around here, but to sell this city to the world, and we have so much to offer that the world, I'm sure, would love to come and partake. Thank you.
Mr. Darling?
Thank you. So, look, for me, to grow a city, I think you need to have had direct responsibility and experience. I've worked all over Atlantic Canada. I've worked with one of Atlantic Canada's oldest organizations, 157 years old, and I was in the building and development industry. I've been involved in several thousand construction projects. So I know how to take ideas, and I know how to implement them, and I know how to get results. And I think that, we need to take St. John. I agree in terms of growth, and we need to take St. John from the we don't do that here city and turn it into the yes we can city. And some of these strategies are very simple, and some of them are more complex, and you need someone that has been in that world and knows how to make things happen. The other thing that we need is we need a laser focus on results. So, I've read a number of the economic development strategies. There's 30 plus of them. I'm unclear on what the focus is. We need a laser focus on 2 or 3 core objectives that lead to what we need for this city, and when we make measurement, we can't make excuses when we don't hit it.
Mr. Farren?
Thank you. To move St. John forward, it will take a full-time mayor. It will take commitment, the will to make our city better than what it is. And I have that commitment, I have the will, and I have the passion to do that. The only way to do that is to watch the tax base, make sure it doesn't rise, increase the jobs that are currently in the businesses that are here, help the businesses in here, in St. John grow to what they can be. That will help attract other jobs. So you've got the industries that are known around the world in the city, large and small. So we have to capitalize on them, the people that they know, the growth that they want to realize to help employ their own people, and also the fact that we can go out as a full-time mayor and go out and get the people to come in and look at our city and say, this is what we need to invest in because we have the proper things in place as a city hall to want them to come.
Ms. Higgins?
Thank you. We have been a city reduced to a population of 70,000. We have a primarily residential tax base that carries the economy of 70,000 jobs. Yet we're tagged as having the highest unemployment rate in Canada. Where's the business strategy for that? If we lower the residential tax base, if we focus on that, or the rate, excuse me, it will lower poverty. It will have people will have money in their pockets so they can invest and spend as consumers in our small businesses, and jobs will be created. That's what's done all over Canada. We look at Kelowna in BC. Their residential tax base, or tax rate, excuse me, is 50 cents.
Ms. Reinhart?
Thank you. Well, as one of the authors of True Growth 2.0, I certainly agree that the outcomes have not been what we expected, but I think that we have to realize that the devil is in the details. So the strategy itself is in fact laser focused. It doesn't identify some 5 points of focus for the city, but what the role of the mayor and the role of council is to support the implementation. That's where the critical piece is. What can the mayor and council do? The mayor and council are responsible to set policies that support those developments, to change the conversation to no, we can't do that, to, well, it doesn't quite fit, but let's figure out how we can make it happen. And also our role is to have policies that are open for business. We need to encourage investment, and not just from new companies coming in. We have to respect the companies that we currently have and encourage them to grow here. We have lots of people who come in as students, come in as workers, who really want to stay in our community. We have to put the policies in place that support that.
Okay, open discussion.
So I think it's more than support implementation. I mean, I think we have to expect results. This city invests many hundreds of thousands of dollars, and when you take the broader range of economic development in the city, there's millions of dollars at hand, and it's not just expecting implementation; it's expecting results. That's what we need. We need the results in this city. We need the jobs created. That we cannot set measurement in this city, not meet those measurements, and then say they don't matter.
Ms. Reinhart, I'll let you respond. And then...
So I'm not saying that measurement doesn't matter. Implementation by its very definition, if it's properly done, has definite measurable objectives. But that includes the policy piece that is currently missing from that particular strategy.
Any of the other?
Further to the point I'm trying to make about how we are the center of the economic function for the region and the province. With 2/3 residential, again, I keep stressing that point, and the income earned, 2/3 of that income leaves with people who choose to not be in the front end of the cost of running an economy. And they are part of citizens, they are citizens of communities who aren't interested in being part of the front end of a working economy.
Mr. Farren?
Thank you. I believe a lot of the problems with new councils, and I've sat on 3 of them now, that every time a new council comes in with a new mayor, we have a different set of priorities. We want to go this way when some of the bridges are already built over here that may be workable and may not be workable. But they just abandon them because it's done by that council over there, and now we're a new council. What we have to do is focus on the things that we know will work hard on the things that we believe will work, and find the solutions for all the things that we can. And that only takes leadership, commitment, and the will to make sure that we don't reinvent the wheel. Every time somebody comes in, they, oh, well, I didn't know it was such a steep learning curve, and there's all kinds of excuses for the first 2 years on council. I've seen it. I'm tired of it. I want to bring in the new leadership that will take what we have and build on it.
Mr. Yeomans?
I believe that every point just about that my colleagues here have made are all good points. And that's part of the reason why I think I would do the best job for mayor, because I'm willing to listen to all these points. I'm willing to try and utilize them for the benefit of St. John. I don't need to argue with them. I want to learn and grow with them. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. And Mr. Darling, you'll be the first to answer. Caitlin?
The City of St. John ended year-end 2015 with a fairly robust surplus, suggesting that there might have been room to cut the tax rate. Given that the water rates are expected to continue increasing in the years ahead, should the City of St. John cut its tax rate in order to attract new families?
So thank you for that question, Caitlin. I think it's very positive, first and foremost, that there's a surplus, here in the city. And I think that when we talk about options with that surplus, how is that money reinvested? What are the priorities of the shareholders of this city in terms of taxpayers? Certainly, people have brought up water rates many times to me at the door, amongst many other concerns that they have. And I think that before we spend that money or recirculate that money, we should make sure that this is something that's sustainable. So do we cut water rates or do we cut tax rates and find ourselves, because it's not sustainable, 12 months from now back in a hole again? So I think bringing a really disciplined approach to the dollars, the fiscal responsibility, management of our dollars in the city, and making sure that when we're making decisions, they're disciplined decisions and they're sustainable decisions.
Mr. Farren?
I'm not the one to lead off on that after that comment. That's just what I discussed about in the last comment. It's when the new people come in, we have to make sure it's sustainable. So they take a year or two to make sure it's sustainable. It's sustainable. We've grown over $54 million in the tax rate since I started 12 short years ago. All we have to do is stop buying the fancy vehicles, the new vehicles every 2 years, because it's the optimum trading value. We have to stop undercutting and over budgeting for construction jobs that go over budget because they're underbid, and those are the things that we have to focus on. I think in $54 million, as long as we watch our spending and teach City Hall how to spend their money smarter. There's all kinds of, I shouldn't say all kinds of room, but there is room for tax cuts. I believe it in my heart and soul, and I believe it can be done. All we have to do is have the leadership to make sure it gets done.
Ms. Higgins?
Thank you, Mother Nature, for the surplus. With the winter we had, the plowing budget wasn't what it was the year before. We've cut, sliced recreation over the last few years. We've raised our rental rates for our facilities for our residents to the highest in the country. That surplus doesn't look so good now, I don't think. If you're paying such a high residential property tax, you should have residential facilities on every street corner. There are solutions to our problem nationwide. Nobody ever has spoken of how we can become like other prosperous cities, and it's shameful.
Ms. Reinhart?
So that surplus was a combination of, thank goodness for Mother Nature, and also direction to staff to find efficiencies and to save money. Not all of it's sustainable. Some of it is deferred maintenance or deferred expenditures for required things, but could put off for another year. But what is important is to look at where to put that surplus and where the citizens will get the most bang for their buck. And in our case this year, we applied it to a pension deficit that will free up $250,000 a year, which is sustainable from this year forward in our budget.
Mr. Yeomans?
I believe that the question had to do with lowering of taxes or any rates that anybody pays in this city. And I truly, my personal thought on that is that it would be foolish for me to be offering to the office of mayor or any other thing to say, I will cut taxes or rates. This city is in a very tight financial situation. We have been for many years. We continue to grow the debt. Before we can do any cuts to that, we need to get new economic income in. We need to encourage people to be here. We need to grow. If we cut, we have to get the money elsewhere. I've seen it done in federal and provincial governments. Take from one hand and have to give with the other. It doesn't work that way. We have to make changes that are beneficial, not just say, oh yes, I will cut your taxes and make you happy. Thank you.
But cutting the tax rate is one of the ways that we can grow the tax base. Bar none. We have to increase the residential areas. We have to increase the business areas, and there's nothing that deters anybody any worse. I've gone door to door for the last while here, and the years before. There's nothing that deters anybody worse is the high property tax and the high water tax. There is absolutely nothing that discourages anybody any more than those two issues. We have to increase our tax base. And the only way that we can do that is by helping lower the tax and show businesses and people that we're serious about making this place a business-friendly and a residential-friendly place for them to live, grow, and entertain their families.
I don't think any one of us around would disagree that it would be absolutely wonderful if we could promise a tax decrease to the citizens. But I think it's irresponsible to do so until we can find a way to make that sustainable. What we don't want to do is lower it, then increase it a year later just because it was an election promise. And so until we can find that sustainable way to do so, then I would think it would be irresponsible to promise that.
I agree. I think, look, I mean, there seems to be some implication, and I've heard it over the last few weeks or, out on the campaign trail that, and I'm not sure who the comments are directed toward, but I want to address them around experience. It won't take me 2 years to come up to speed in terms of experience at council. I've been attending council meetings for years. I read briefing books. I come from a corporate culture that is excellent strategic planning and even more importantly, excellent execution. So it's not going to take this candidate years to come up to speed. So I just wanted to address that issue.
Ms. Egan?
I'd like to be clear about when I say reduce the residential tax rate. We are locked in with the Municipalities Act in New Brunswick that the residential rate is what it is in different communities, and the business property rate is 1.5 of that, received back to the community. Or less, 1.5 or less. In many cases, it's less. In places like BC that are growing so much, their property tax for business is 6 times their residential. Therefore, they're drawing people. BC can't even come up with their growth in their economy and their population. In Ontario, it's 5 times that those who are the front and the economic centers receive. So therefore, the residents have money in their pockets so they can be consumers and be part of the business situation by spending money for what they need, creating jobs, and having a better quality of life.
Mr. Yeomans, did you have any other comments before we move on?
I again, because of the reasons I said, and everybody around us here in this forum will have their own personal reasons. And I believe in what I said, and if you wish to vote for a person that guarantees they're going to cut your taxes, then you will get what you asked for, and it won't necessarily be cut taxes. Thank you.
Okay, next question from Caitlin.
How, as mayor, would you attract development to St. John?
And Mr. Farren, you're first on this one.
By attracting development to St. John, we've got to work with the businesses that are already here in the community, the people that are already here in the community. We've got, I've got the benefit of coming from a business family. We know a number of people throughout North America in business that we can bring here. Whether they're going to set up shop or not, we don't know because we don't have the everything in place for them. But those are the type of things that we have to use. We have to use my family's background, other people's families' backgrounds, businesses' backgrounds to go out and get those leads and bring those people in and say, let's have a look, set up shop, employ our people here, and we will put things in place that will help alleviate the taxes that are put on you and therefore the taxes that are put on the homeowners. Those are the things that we have to put in place to attract people, to get them to live and stay here, to bring people in with jobs.
Ms. Higgins?
Thank you. People attract development. We keep saying if we have development, we'll attract people. Obviously, that has not worked. We put the cart before the horse. It has not worked. To attract development, we have to have a strong economy for our own, and that will attract people. What we may have to do is decrease our economy somewhat and let the outlying areas, if they choose to be standalones, which again doesn't happen anywhere else in Canada, then maybe they can take on leveraging their taxes to have job creation and bring more economy to the region. But we can, with the right education and the right policies, bring them along and realize we're all in this together. We can't carry the whole thing.
Ms. Reinhart?
It is indeed about people who bring ideas, and those ideas attract investment. It is a team effort. Economic development or development attraction is a team effort. We need to engage our experts, we need to engage our existing business, and we need to sell ourselves. We need to change that conversation. We need to be St. John's biggest cheerleaders, not their biggest critics. Mayor and council specifically, their role is to make sure that businesses know they're open for business. We have to develop those policies that support business. We have to have processes that are easy and supportive to businesses. We have to have an attitude to make it happen. A company who wants to come into St. John and invest doesn't want to have to beg or jump through a lot of red tape or hoops. They want us to care. And that's the role of mayor and council, is to ensure that the city of St. John, their staff and their policies show that we care.
Mr. Yeomans?
I believe that it's important to totally utilize the people that are already in the payroll for the city of St. John. We have many experts. We have many people that are there earning a paycheck because they're capable of it. I'm not sure that we're always allowing them to. We need to sell this place, not just as a place for business, but a place for people to want to come, to live, a safe place, a place that encourages not just for the greater St. John, but all the outlying areas. And as I said before, all of New Brunswick. We need to grow together, and we can do that. But we need a person that's going to go sell the city. And when they go to sell the city, that they have the backing from the city itself to say, yes, we have this to offer. But I, as an individual, I can't right now say, I can offer you this, because I have to go to the city myself and find out what all it is, what we need to change, how to change it, and then I will go forth and gladly sell this city, because I believe in the city and the citizens. Thank you.
Mr. Darley?
Thank you. So over the last 20 years, all of the roles that I've been in my corporate life have been revenue generating roles. So selling my company, selling my region, and I think that's directly applicable to growing St. John. Some of these strategies are very simple. The perception in St. John is that St. John isn't open for business. So what we've been doing isn't working. That some of the initiatives they do not have the right metrics in place that are customer focused. So you talk to people in the development and construction industry in St. John, and they believe that St. John has a lot of room for improvement. So we bring very practical solutions to the table, and we move that forward. Also, we create that environment, that larger open for business environment, so that not only do we get out there with the focus again on creating jobs, which goes closely with creating more population, growing the population in St. John, but also non-residential investment. So how do we create the right climate? And I agree, there are a lot of experts here in town. Put a very focused plan in place and make sure that the results are the focus.
Okay, open discussion on economic development.
Well,
Mr. Farren?
the results that we need to grow the city, and I'm not guaranteeing a tax cut. I never guaranteed a tax cut, but I am saying there should be no need whatsoever for a tax increase. And I think that's what's going to be happening here. And that is the biggest environment to set any business back on its heels, is if they come in thinking that this is what they have to pay, the same as a resident and a homeowner. If this is what I have to pay in taxes, then all of a sudden they find out a year later that they just jumped up 10 cents per $100,000 on your home or business. I mean, those are the things that we have to put in place. They have to be practical, they have to be sustainable, and they are sustainable from what I've seen in the last 12 years.
Ms. Higgins?
Thank you. Comparative studies just within New Brunswick show that we spend/waste $50 million in residential money to try to carry an economy that's not working for St. Johners. We spend more residential money for this economy than the province receives in royalties, and we are an export natural resources province. The math does not work, it cannot work, and the business people with the experience, how they think that these numbers can balance is impossible. If we decided to become ordinary, and mind you, ordinary New Brunswickers, and put that $50 million back in pockets, and maybe tell people, you're going to have to pay for the cop you pay for, or things like that, they're going to do that.
Ms. Reinhart?
Part of our challenge in St. John is that we depend on the next big project. And I think when we talk about development attraction, we need to really consider diversifying our economy. So what are the sustainable developments or the sustainable industries that we can attract to our region? And then those next big projects are the gravy, the icing on the cake, but we have a good sustainable base for our economy. And I don't think that we have been good at that in the past, but I think that certainly that is one of the things that we need to really put our focus on is, okay, here are 4 or 5 industries that fit in our region. Here are the plans in place. This is what we want to achieve. Let's go right after that.
Mr. Yeomans?
Diversity, yes. Diversity is the way to go. And this where being part of business can help. I watched this province for many years. We always had like a 7-year cycle, basically. 4 bad, 3 good. The 3 good meant that big companies suddenly showed up and were doing major projects, and the government money was suddenly there. The other 4 years, we starved and went downhill. We need diversity. We need to bring in any type of feasible job that will benefit here. We have the people. We have the qualifications. We have the university.
Mr.
That
Dart?
is what we need. Thank you.
Any last
Yeah,
comments?
so I think we're talking about growth, and we're talking about tax bases, and I don't think we're talking enough about people. Because I've met many people in this city who are worried about their kids' futures. Part of the motivation for me to run is that I have a 17-year-old and twin 21-year-olds. I want to create some jobs here for them to stay. That's why I'm so passionate about focus, and that's why I'm so passionate about results. And around this city, that's been a common thread. People want to work here, they want to have jobs, and they expect us as leaders to come up with succinct plans and go out and make some things happen. And the economy is diversifying, and we need to make sure that we're working with traditional economy, trades, and so on, but we're also moving quickly enough, not just talking about moving quickly enough on emerging economies such as IT industry, for example.
Okay, we'll go to Caitlin for the last question of the night.
Provinces said they would repeal a 2005 deal legislated to cap taxes at $500,000 per year for Canaport LNG. If you were mayor right now, what would you say to the current council, recognizing that some of you are current councillors, regarding the repeal of this deal?
And Ms. Higgins, start.
Oh, absolutely. The sooner the better. And let's look at other tax deals too. Again, there's too much burden on the residents of St. John, on our constituents. A regional economy as we have, the cost of that regional economy falls on the businesses, since they are the ones that benefit from a regional economy. Absolutely, I would appeal it right away. I'd be all for it. And the province saying, oh, well, an assessment, you might have to pay the money back, et cetera, et cetera. Well, they set the assessments. It's arbitrary, we know that. And if we lose some money in the unconditional grant, and the communities who receive that extra money, surely they'll pay it back as well.
Ms. Reinhart?
There's no argument that the way in which that deal was conceived and passed was flawed and probably inappropriate. I don't think you'll see an example of legislation to deal with a tax concession anywhere else. But from a mayor's role, when we deal with this question, what I would say is we need to have all of the information in front of us. So the province did their due diligence. The city is currently doing their due diligence, because the last thing that we want to do is put our citizens at even more risk by the repeal than we currently have in place by the concession that was made. So if I was giving direction to my council, I would say, let's take all of the information that we get from both the province and our own staff in terms of an analysis of the benefits and the potential dangers of the repeal, and then make an informed decision.
Mr. Yeomans?
I believe at this time and until I'm mayor and able to see, as it's already been mentioned, all the ins and outs of this situation. I've listened already to different things that they've said. They're saying we could lose money, we could have this, we could have that, we could discourage business. This was a deal that was made in good faith. Now, whether or not it would be right to repeal it or not, I don't have that information. So I wouldn't just jump on board for the sake of saying, let's do that because it sounds good for money, when in the long run, we may lose out. I believe we need to look at it all from every point, bring it back, give it to the people, and let the decision be made. Thank you.
Mr. Darling?
Thank you. So for me, there's two components. I've been asked by the paper and others to make comments on the deal itself, and I haven't been at the table. When I'm at the table, I'll have all the information and I'll make disciplined decisions. So I'm not going to make a comment on the original deal, but in terms of what's in front of council now, as mayor, I'll make sure that we're making two things. Number one, disciplined review of the decisions that we have in front of us, not unlike what what the deputy said. I mean, we need to make sure, my worry is that the council has asked this current council to repeal this deal, and we need to make sure that we understand fully the implications. There's been some suggestion that the tax bill is going to rise to $8 million, and my question is what is the value of that facility now? So we need to be very careful, and I'm trusting that staff are now in that review process, so that this current council or when I'm mayor, the new council will make a great decision on behalf of all taxpayers in a balanced and fair way. And we need to make sure that in the future we're doing balanced deals, better deals that
Mr.
are
Farren?
balanced.
Thank you. There is no doubt that tax deal was an odd thing in this province and country. At the time, it seemed good. We still have the only LNG plant in the country, in North America, I believe, but definitely in the country. If I was the mayor tomorrow, we have to make sure that the taxpayers don't pay any more than what they're already losing in that tax deal. It's imperative that we have it. With the current staff or the current council has asked staff to go back, review, see what the ghosts are in the closet, make sure that the residents don't pay any more taxes and penalties to the province or to anybody else than we're already doing. We have to be very smart and very wise in this. We can't afford to pay anybody else any more money on that deal.
So now we are going to move to our closing statements, and we will start with Shelley Reinhart.
Thank you. St. John, you know what you want. I have experience on council and leading council. I know and I understand St. John, and I will bring leadership to keep this city moving forward. St. John, as your mayor, I will make your wish list my priority. You know what you want, and I've been listening. You want jobs, a stronger economy, safer neighborhoods, clean and modern playgrounds and recreational facilities, fun events like the upcoming 506 Festival and Marathon by the Sea, a public transportation system that gets you where you want to go, and most importantly, you want a city hall that gets stuff done, a city hall with strong leadership. I am committed to leading a council that's focused on bringing people, ideas, and investments to our city, to St. John. I am committed to you. On May 9th, I ask for your support. Vote Shelley Reinhart for mayor. Thank you.
Howard Yeomans.
As you've already seen, as has been said, I believe what this city needs is a mayor who's going to coordinate. All these ideas are good ideas, but all too often I've seen in this city, we've paid for big reports and nothing done with them, but they were shelved. We jump onto things and say, yes, this is a good idea. Let's do this, without actually getting the information. I believe, as a coordinator and mayor of this city, that I will be able to go forth to these people, asking this information before we make these decisions and waste the money. I believe that as mayor, I will help to turn this city around, but I can't do it by myself, without the city, without the council, without the people. I will need everybody's help. And I want you to vote on May 9th, and even if not for me, get out and vote. Don't give up your right. Thank you.
Don Darling.
Thank you. So my vision is grow SJ. I've been talking about it now for weeks. I have the direct experience necessary to make it happen. I bring a fresh perspective to City Hall, fresh ideas. I'm not painted in the corner with any one approach. I'm focused on results. I'm going to be a positive champion, not only for the city of St. John, but for all the people of St. John. I've been from one end of the city to the other in the last 3 weeks, and I'm very humbled by the response that I've received. And I've made no promises that I can't keep, and it's easy for me to remember what I've said because I've spoken to my values and my principles and for my love of the city. So we've got Plan SJ, Move SJ, Play SJ, Zone SJ. It's now time for action for St. John to grow our economy, to create jobs, grow the population, and move our city ahead. So on May 9th, I ask that you support me. I will work as a full-time mayor with full commitment, full passion on behalf of all the citizens of St. John. Thank you.
Bill Farren.
Thank you. As your councillor for the last 12 years, I have proven I can work with many people to get things done as a leader and a team builder. I have been able to bring concerns of our residents and small business to the council table and have them resolved, and I want to continue that as your mayor. As your mayor, I want to continue growth and economic change, creating jobs. I want to revitalize positive pride in our community by working every day as your full-time mayor to leave no stone unturned to make City Hall what we all want it to be. It takes a number of years for anyone to adjust to a steep learning curve of being on council, and St. John cannot afford to take that time. The new mayor has to hit the ground running to make our city what we want it to be. I am willing to keep helping residents with their problems and concerns with City Hall. I have the leadership for team building and ability to growth in job creation and quality of life issues. I have the leadership for working well with others. I have the leadership, the will, the compassion to see our city grow. I have the time to be your full-time mayor, to serve you. Vote Bill Farren on May 9th. Thank you.
Patty Higgins.
The city is its citizens. We have lost the basic fundamentals as to what it means to act in the best interests of our constituency, the best interests of St. Johners. My 4-point platform is based on fundamentals. 1, first and foremost, we must reduce the residential tax rate. 2, we must champion Plan SJ. 3, we must have an equitable regional model based on Canadian norms. 4, we must reinstate fluoridation to our drinking water. I have no qualms about suffering the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. I have no tolerance for bullies or the cowards who empower them. And although we do many things very well in the city that I love, we have lost our focus, the best interests of our fellow St. Johners. This, above all other considerations, must be taken. It's not complicated. Thank you.
And that brings our night to an end. I want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in. I want to thank our candidates for a lively discussion: Shelley Reinhart, Howard Yeomans, Don Darling, Bill Farren, and Patty Higgins. I want to thank Caitlin Dean, city editor at Telegraph Journal, for some great questions. Go out tomorrow and buy a newspaper. And again, remember, exercise your right. May 9th, vote. And advance polls are also open April 30th and May 2nd. Thank you and have a good night.